The scream came from the snow, not from a house, not from the road, from the empty field behind my parents' home, the place no one ever crossed after dark. It was Christmas night, just past midnight. The kind of cold that burns your lungs and makes the world feel hollow. Snow fell straight down, no wind, no sound. Even the trees stood still like they were listening. I was standing at the back window, holding a mug I'd already forgotten to drink from when I heard it. A woman's voice. Not loud, not panicked, just wrong. It sounded stretched, thin, like it was traveling through something before reaching me. Help me. I pressed my hand against the glass, heart hammering. The field was empty, perfect, white. Then the voice came again, closer this time. I'm cold. That's when I noticed the footprints. They didn't lead away from anything. They began in the middle of the field. A single trail of bare footprints pressed deep into the snow, heading straight toward our house. I whispered without meaning to, "Mom?" Behind me, my father said quietly, "Don't open the door." I turned. He was pale, frozen in place, staring at the handle. Then the knocking started. The knocking stopped, but none of us moved. My father's hand was still hovering inches from the door handle, fingers stiff, like he'd forgotten how to unclench them. My mother stood behind him, one hand pressed to her chest, lips parted as if she'd been holding a breath for years and didn't know how to let it go. Outside, the night had gone unnaturally quiet. No wind, no distant cars, no dogs barking from town. Just the snow falling slow and straight, swallowing sound. What was that? I asked, my voice louder than I meant it to be. My mother flinched. "Don't say it out loud," she whispered. "Say what?" She looked at my father. He shook his head once. "We need to lock the house," he said. "All of it." "It already is," I replied. He didn't answer me. He just moved, slow, careful, checking every door, every window, sliding bolts that hadn't been touched in years. As he worked, I noticed something that made my stomach tighten. The house felt smaller. Not physically, but the walls pressed inward, the air thick and stale, like the building itself was holding its breath. I turned back toward the window. The footprints were gone. The snow in the field was smooth now. Perfect. Untouched. As if nothing had ever stood there at all. "That's not possible," I muttered. My mother's voice trembled. "It doesn't need to leave tracks every time." I stared at her. "You're talking like this is normal." She laughed softly, a broken sound with no humor in it. "Nothing about Christmas night here is normal." I sat down heavily on the couch, trying to ground myself. The drive here had been long and quiet, the road empty except for deer standing too close to the shoulder, staring with reflective eyes. Even then, I'd felt watched. Like something had followed me the last few miles, staying just out of sight. I thought it was stress. Divorce does that to you. Makes shadows feel heavier. Makes silence feel personal. But this was something else. "How long has this been happening?" I asked. Neither of them answered. The clock on the wall ticked loudly, every second punching into the quiet. Midnight had passed, but the hands hadn't moved since the knocking stopped. I stood and walked closer to it. "Is the clock broken?" My father spoke without looking at me. "It stops every year." My chest tightened. "Stops when?" He finally turned. "After it announces itself." The temperature dropped suddenly, not gradually, not like a heater cutting out. It fell in a sharp wave, cold biting at my skin. My breath fogged the air. Behind us, the hallway creaked. Slow, deliberate. Footsteps. My mother grabbed my arm. "That's not a person," she said, "no matter how much it sounds like one." The footsteps stopped just beyond the corner. Then a voice came from the darkness. Soft. Familiar. "Mom." My mother let out a small, broken sob. "That's your voice," I whispered. She nodded, eyes wide with terror. "It learns." The voice came again, closer this time. "I'm scared." Something inside me cracked. I took a step forward. My father blocked me instantly. "Do not answer it," he said sharply. "Not with words. Not with looks. Not with thoughts. Thoughts." I snapped. "You think this thing can hear thoughts?" The lights flickered. Once, twice, then steadied. The voice in the hallway changed. It deepened slightly, stretched like a recording played too slow. "You left me." The words settled into the room, heavy and accusing. My mother sank into a chair. "It's starting early this year," she whispered. "Starting what?" I demanded. She covered her face. "The remembering." That's when I noticed the photographs. Family pictures lining the wall. Moments frozen in time. Birthdays. Graduations. Holidays. Every photo taken on Christmas night was wrong. Faces blurred. Eyes darkened. Shadows stretching where they shouldn't exist. In one picture, taken years before I was born, a woman stood at the edge of the frame, barefoot, watching the camera. I pointed. "Who is that?" My parents froze. My father swallowed hard. "That," he said quietly, "is why people still remember this town." The hallway creaked again. Closer. And somewhere deep in the house, a door unlocked itself. The unlocked door was the beginning. It didn't swing open. It didn't creak. It simply clicked, calm, polite, like the house had decided something for us. My father moved first. He always did. Even now, even with fear carved deep into his face, instinct took over. He stepped between me and the hallway, one hand raised as if that could stop what was coming. "Stay where you are," he said. The hallway light flickered on by itself. Just one bulb. Dim. Weak. It revealed nothing new, the same narrow stretch of carpet, the same framed photos along the wall. But the feeling had changed. The air there looked heavier, like it had weight. Like stepping into it would be stepping underwater. My mother whispered, "It's closer than it should be." "How do you know?" I asked. "Because it never comes inside this early." That sentence landed wrong. "Never," I said. "You're saying it's been inside before?" She closed her eyes. The hallway light flickered again. And somewhere deeper in the house, something shifted, slow, dragging, like a chair leg being pulled across the floor. I thought of the field. The footprints that started from nowhere. The voice that sounded stretched thin by distance and cold. "Tell me," I said. "Now." My father nodded once, like he'd already accepted something he'd been running from for years. "There was a Christmas," he began, "when the town decided to forget. They didn't tell me everything at once. They couldn't. The truth came in layers, each one heavier than the last, each one changing the shape of what I thought I knew. Years before I was born, decades, really, this town was fuller. Not big, just alive. People knew each other's names. Doors unlocked. Christmas meant bonfires and shared food and voices echoing late into the night. Eliza Moore arrived one winter from somewhere north. No one remembered exactly where. She rented a small house near the field behind ours. Worked odd jobs. Kept to herself. Polite, quiet, forgettable. The kind of person people don't notice until they're gone. She wasn't strange, my mother said. That's the worst part. She was just alone. On Christmas Eve that year, the town held its usual gathering. Snow heavy. Fire crackling. Laughter forced a little too loud to fight the cold. Eliza came late. She stood at the edge of the firelight, hands bare, coat too thin. Someone offered her a drink. Someone else laughed too loudly when she didn't answer fast enough. She asked for help, my father said. Not directly. Just enough that people could pretend they didn't hear. At midnight, the church bells rang. And Eliza walked away. No one followed. She was still there, my mother whispered. Standing in the dark. Watching us celebrate. When the bonfire burned low and people drifted home, snow swallowed her footprints. By morning, she was gone. They searched. Briefly. Half-heartedly. No body. No blood. No proof anything bad had happened. Winter passed. Spring came. And then, the first Christmas after Eliza vanished, someone heard knocking. It came from the road at first. A woman's voice asking for warmth. A neighbor opened the door. He didn't scream. Didn't run. He just stood there, listening. After that night, he stopped speaking much. When he did, all he ever said was, "She's cold." He died the following summer. That was the first, my father said. After that, it spread. As he spoke, the house responded. The hallway light dimmed. The air grew colder in uneven waves, like something breathing. The whisper returned, not loud enough to make out words, just enough to make my skin crawl. I wrapped my arms around myself. "You're saying this thing is Eliza?" My mother shook her head slowly. "No," she said. "We're saying it wears her voice." The footsteps came again, slow, deliberate, pacing the length of the hallway. One step. Pause. Another. It wasn't rushing. It didn't need to. "Why Christmas?" I asked. My father's jaw tightened. "Because that's when she was forgotten." The whisper sharpened. This time I understood the words. "Why didn't you come?" It wasn't aimed at me. It was aimed at them. My mother pressed her hands over her ears. "We didn't know," she said aloud, voice breaking. "We didn't know." The whisper stopped. For a moment I thought that was it. Then the laughter started. Soft. Thin. Wrong. It echoed from every room at once, like memory replaying itself through the walls. "That's new," my father muttered. "What do you mean, new?" I demanded. He didn't answer. Instead, he walked to the bookshelf and pulled out a thin, leather-bound notebook. Old. Worn. Pages yellowed with age. "People started writing things down," he said, "back when they still thought knowledge could stop it." He handed it to me. Inside were names. Dates. Short, shaking entries written in different handwriting. Christmas night. Heard knocking. Did not answer. Voice sounded like my sister. Lights went out at 12:17. Dreamed of snow inside the house. One entry was circled heavily. He answered. "What happened to him?" I asked. My mother's voice was barely a whisper. "He remembers everything now." A loud bang echoed from upstairs. We all jumped. Something had fallen. Or been pushed. The footsteps moved toward the staircase. Closer. "He shouldn't be here," my father said. "It doesn't go upstairs." "Until now," my mother replied. The voice shifted again. This time it spoke clearly. My name. Perfectly. "You came back," it said. I waited. My knees felt weak. "I don't even know you," I whispered. The house creaked in response, settling, adjusting, like it approved of the lie. My father grabbed my shoulders. "Listen to me," he said urgently. "It needs someone who remembers clearly. Someone who isn't buried under years of silence." "You mean me." He didn't deny it. "It feeds on memory," my mother said. "On guilt. On things people refuse to say out loud." The footsteps stopped at the bottom of the stairs. The hallway light went out. Darkness rushed in. Then, inches from my ear, a breath. Cold. Wet. "I never left," the voice whispered. "You just stopped looking." The floorboards groaned. And for the first time that night, something stepped fully into the house. Darkness had a weight now. Not the comforting quiet of a winter night, but a suffocating, pulsing thing. It pressed against my skin, filled my lungs, clung to my hair. Every shadow in the house seemed alive, stretching toward me with intent. The stairs groaned under a weight that wasn't ours. I could hear the slow, dragging movement of something climbing, something deliberate. It wasn't running, didn't need to. Its pace told me it had all the time in the world, because it did. My father pulled me back from the hallway, hands iron-tight on my shoulders. "Stay still," he whispered. "Do not make a sound. Do not move. It can sense fear, but only if it's spoken." The hallway door slammed. Not hard. Not with force. Just enough. Enough to announce itself. I could feel it in the air, crawling across the walls, the floors, the ceiling. And then I heard it, voices. Hundreds of them. Some screaming, some pleading, some whispering. All layered together. They were memories. Snippets of Christmas nights past, clipped from the people who had once lived here, who had answered too soon or too late. "She's coming," my mother said, her voice breaking like glass. "She knows you now." I turned toward her. "Who?" "You," my father said sharply. "She's waiting for someone new. Someone who remembers clearly." The house shifted. I swear it bent. Walls bending inward, ceilings lowering. Light flickered. Not from bulbs, but from nowhere, shadows curling and uncurling like black smoke. Every photograph on the wall suddenly moved. Faces changed. Eyes went black. Smiles twisted. I realized this was the memory itself, animated. The past reaching into the present. A whisper from behind the couch. My name. Another from the staircase. My mother's voice. And the one at the window mine. I felt my stomach twist. My head pound. The world had become a kaleidoscope of voices, shadows, and cold. Time was gone. Minutes stretched into hours, then seconds, then nothing. "Face it." My father shouted suddenly. "You have to face it." "What do you mean?" I screamed, clutching my head. "The remembering. You have to remember her." I didn't want to. I didn't want to remember. But it was impossible not to. Every moment of Christmas I'd ever lived flashed in my mind. The empty fields, the forgotten gifts, the silence of my own family, the distant laughter that never reached me. And then, among those memories, I saw her. Eliza Moore. Barefoot in the snow. Watching. Waiting. And now she wasn't a memory anymore. She was here. The voice spoke clearly. Not through words, through thought, through marrow, through fear. "You left me. You forgot me. You made them forget me." I backed into the living room. Photographs floated off the walls, spinning slowly in the air. Snow swirled inside the house. Frost traced the edges of the windows. The temperature had dropped so low that each breath cut my throat. I realized my mother was crying. Or maybe she was frozen. I couldn't tell. My father was shouting, trying to hold the house together, trying to hold me together. But it was useless. The entity was older than this house, older than the town, older than the rules of sanity. The shadow in the hallway took form, not fully human, not fully memory, but both. Face shifting with the faces of the dead. Body dissolving into mist. Its presence alone bent the air, bent the walls, bent reality itself. "You came back," it whispered. "And now you will stay." I ran. Tried to escape. The front door was gone, replaced by endless darkness. Windows were walls. Walls were windows. The floor wasn't a floor. Every step led me back to the center of the house. And there it was, standing in the middle of the living room, watching, waiting. "Remember." My father yelled. I screamed, shaking my head. I don't want to." The shadow lunged, not physically, but mentally, into my thoughts. My memories, my fears, my regrets were ripped open. Names of people I had loved, moments I had treasured, sins I hadn't confessed, all torn from me and fed to it. I could hear hundreds of voices whispering my failures, my absences, my neglect. "Say her name," it hissed. I gasped. "Eliza Moore." "Again," it said, cold and wet and hungry. "Eliza Moore." The house shook. The photographs slammed to the floor. The snowstorm inside raged. My parents were shadows now, barely present, their faces pale, eyes hollow. "You remember," it said. "You are mine now." Time fractured. Seconds became hours. Hours became nothing. I saw every Christmas night, every forgotten person, every unanswered door. I saw the first man who opened the door and never spoke again. I saw the town leaving, one by one. I saw the countless people who had survived only to remember. And I understood. This thing wasn't just Eliza. It wasn't just memory. It was inevitability. The force of being forgotten, The consequence of leaving someone behind, the cold weight of silence. "You will never forget," it whispered. I fell to my knees, snow gathering around me, freezing my clothes to my skin. My hands shook as I tried to cover my ears, but the voices were inside my head, in my lungs, behind my eyes. And then it spoke through me, through my lips. "You left me." My scream joined the chorus. The last thing I felt before everything went black was its cold hand, impossibly thin, impossibly heavy, resting on my shoulder. I had remembered. Morning came slowly, almost reluctantly, as if the sun itself feared what it would illuminate. The snow had stopped falling. Or maybe it never had. The field outside was blank, unbroken, pristine. No footprints. No evidence that anything had passed through. The house sat quietly, too quiet, its walls still trembling faintly from the chaos of the night. I opened my eyes. My hands were numb. My clothes stiff with frost. My hair frozen into strands that stuck to my face. I could feel the echoes of the voices still buzzing faintly in my head, like the faint hum of an electric current left running too long. The living room was empty. The photographs had returned to the walls, but something was wrong. The smiles were too perfect, eyes too black, shadows curling differently. The Christmas tree lights flickered weakly, but no ornaments had survived. I touched one of the cords, and it shivered like the tree itself was breathing. I wasn't alone. I could sense the presence, thin but insistent, lingering in the corners, in the air I drew in my own chest. My parents were gone. I called their names, voice cracking, but there was no answer. Not a whisper. Not a footstep. Only silence that pressed against me like a weight. The front door was unlocked. I thought about leaving, about walking into the field, into the untouched snow, and never looking back. But something stopped me. Something told me that leaving would not matter. That the thing from last night was patient, eternal, and already waiting. I walked through the house slowly, each room a frozen snapshot of memory. My childhood, family dinners, empty chairs, broken ornaments. Each step echoed louder than it should, bouncing off the walls in a rhythm that felt almost like a heartbeat. And everywhere, faint whispers, just under the level of hearing. I understood them instinctively. They were memories of the forgotten, voices of the ignored, the left behind. Each one bound to the house, to the night, to me. I found the notebook. The leather cover was worn, pages yellowed. Names, dates, scribbles in various hands. Most were notes of fear. Who answered, who survived, who remembered. At the bottom of the last page, scrawled in my own handwriting, though I had not written it, were the words, "You remember now. You will never forget." I dropped it. It landed open on the floor. The snow from the field had somehow gathered there, thin, crystalline, forming footprints that led nowhere, curling into themselves like a snake devouring its tail. I tried to speak. My voice trembled. What do you want from me?" The air shifted. The temperature dropped. I could feel it moving around me, coiling, waiting. And then a whisper. Soft, intimate, almost tender. "You know." I did. I remembered. Every Christmas night, every forgotten soul, every unanswered knock. I remembered Eliza Moore, barefoot in the snow, waiting for warmth, waiting for recognition, waiting for someone to remember that she had existed, that she had been left behind. I remembered the townsfolk who had looked away. I remembered my parents' silence. I remembered my own fear. And now I understood. This thing wasn't bound to one person, one family, one house. It was bound to memory itself, to forgetting, to leaving someone out in the cold and pretending nothing had happened. I shivered. My breath fogged the air. I thought about stepping outside, thinking maybe the daylight could save me. But even through the walls, through the snow, through the sun itself, I knew it was patient. It didn't rush. It didn't need to. It only waited for me to remember. I sat on the couch, knees drawn up, the notebook open beside me. The voices were quiet now, distant, but I could still hear them. Every name I'd read, every memory I'd seen, every scream that had filled the house, all blending into one endless echo. I felt their weight, 1,000 frozen Christmas nights pressing against my chest. I didn't sleep. Not really. I didn't dare. Every shadow, every shift in light, every faint creak of the old house was enough to make me flinch. Sometimes I thought I saw figures in the windows. Fleeting shapes that were not quite my parents, not quite me. Sometimes I heard the softest of knocks, gentle, almost polite, at the edge of hearing. When night came again, it was different. Not violent, not screaming, but quiet. Predictable. Patient. And I realized it had claimed its victory. Not in violence, not in destruction, but in inevitability. I would stay. I would remember. I would never forget. And perhaps in remembering I would become part of it. One more echo, one more whisper for someone else to hear. The first knock of the second Christmas came at midnight. Soft, deliberate, polite. I did not answer. The snow outside remained pristine. Footprints that shouldn't exist began to appear in the yard. A cold wind blew through the house, though no doors or windows were open. And the whisper, soft, insistent, intimate, brushed against my ear. You remember. I shivered. My eyes fixed on the hallway. The light flickered. For a moment I saw her. Barefoot. Watching. Waiting. The snowflakes clung to her hair, to her skin, yet she was warm, impossibly warm and patient. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I only remembered. And I understood finally that some encounters are never over. That some nights, no matter how bright the sun, no matter how far you run, the past will come for you. The forgotten will find their way back. And the cold never leaves. Christmas night ended quietly. Too quietly. Too perfectly. The snow settled. The voices receded. My parents did not return. And I, alone, sat surrounded by shadows, photographs, and whispers that would never leave me. I would survive. But I would never be the same. And sometimes, when the world goes silent, when the snow lies thick and untouched, I hear her breathing. Waiting. Watching. Patient. And I know, someday she will call my name again.